Hello, Jan. Enjoy your schnitzel. I hope it's wunderbar.
Madeline Rom, I wish you the best, and I dedicate this episode, Wiener Schnitzel, to you. And to all of you, I wish you a Happy New Year. Hope you had a great Christmas vacation. As I mentioned, we're doing Wiener Schnitzel, which is an Austrian classic. It's a breaded veal chop, and you have to use veal for Wiener Schnitzel. If you use, as I did in the first episode of Cooking with Jan, if you use pork meat, then it's Schnitzel Wiener Art, which is Viennese style. And with that, we're going to fry some already cooked potatoes. The Austrians actually recommend that you serve potato salad with Wiener Schnitzel because they like the combination better. So you can think of that as an alternative. Since I already had these cooked, we're going to fry them. They'll be the Bratkartoffel, as we say in German fried potatoes. And you'll see how I do it. And it's going to be delicious. So let's jump into it. Step one is to prepare our schnitzels. And in episode 1, as you know, I didn't have any veal, but I do today. And I have these 2 beautiful veal cutlets, if you can see. And what we want to do is we want to make them tender. And to do that, we have to use our mallet. But this one I'm going to pound more or less to this size to flatten it a bit. Take a piece of plastic foil so you don't damage the meat and you don't get the meat on your mallet. Use the smooth part. Pound it away from you. And as you can see, it's getting flatter like this one here. We're not going to pound this one because it's already flat enough. And just for good measure, we'll just do the other side, just gently. Again. Once you have your veal cutlets flattened, you want to put salt and pepper, not too much, but a little bit on each side. Now to season them. Careful with pepper, just a few dashes. And it's very interesting because a German cook who has a great channel, her name is Felicitas Tain, she actually takes some peel from the lemon and she grates it, just a little bit, a touch, because the Wiener Schnitzel is served with lemon, but usually after it has been fried, after it has been cooked. But she puts a little bit on in advance. I'm going to try that sometime. For those of you who decide to do it and try it out just as kind of a twist, let me know if you try it. To get our eggs prepared, we have to beat them. Don't beat them completely. Leave some egg white runny, about that much. Yeah, about that much. Not completely. You take your schnitzel, which I said is already very, very thin. You did a great job cutting it. Put it in your flour. Don't, here you can press down a little bit just to make sure that there's a coating of flour everywhere. Okay, then it goes into the egg. This is your glue for your breadcrumbs, of course, right? Make a little bit of a mess. And then into the breadcrumbs. Here, they do like this. They pour the breadcrumbs over. I, of course, not really prepared this very well, but you know, you can just, there you are. Just don't, you can press down a little bit, but just not too much is what they recommend. Okay, our schnitzels are ready to go. We're going to put them aside because we're going to do our Bratkartoffeln, our German fried potatoes first. Why? Because we have to coordinate it so that everything is served warm. All right, so we're going to use the oil. And actually, I have some pork fat. Ooh, just a little bit. This is for the flavor. That's going to go in there. But for the most part, you use just a neutral oil. Okay, we've got a hot pan. I have this great gun from Bosch, which can tell me what the temperature is. Ooh, 190. Oh, we're ready to go. Actually, I'm going to turn this down just a bit because we're not searing meat. We're just cooking potatoes. And these potatoes, the Germans call them Mehling kochende. They normally are not used for Bratkartoffeln because they fall apart, but these won't fall apart because I guess I'm lucky. In America, they call those potatoes russet or Idaho potatoes. But you would normally use for German fried potatoes, Bratkartoffeln, you would use what they call Yukon Gold. Any potato that can keep its consistency. Next step is make sure that you salt and pepper your potatoes. Not too much, but a good few pinches. Some pepper. Being careful with your pepper, of course. And also, I like to put in a little bit of thyme. I've got some fresh thyme here, which I have left over from my turkey dinner. And make sure that when you use the thyme, sprinkle a little bit here, make sure that you don't put any of those branches in, any of the wood, as I've explained during episode 40 of Creamy Chestnut Soup. You have to make sure that you watch them, and you have to, with a fork, for example, you have to make sure that they are, brown on each side. I just do this, though. Anke is aghast that I would do this, but I know my limits. Yes, our German fried potatoes are finished, as you can see. Turn off our power. And have a little bit of browning on the onions. And we're just going to go just in there. Keep them warm until we do our schnitzel. Okay, cover them in aluminum foil, just to keep a little bit of freshness in. Put them in your oven so they stay warm. Okay, for your schnitzels, they have to swim. They have to bathe. So you do need a good portion of oil. We probably need a little bit more. Okay, we'll use all of it. That should be fine. It's not like fried chicken. We're not filling up our pan all the way to here, where your fried chicken actually drowns in the fat. But they do have to swim. They do have to bathe. And we're also going to add, just a little bit of pork fat, not much. Okay, I could, of course, spend time waiting for my temperature gauge to get to 160 by covering the fat. I could do this. Waste of time. So there is a great method that we use, and if you take your breadcrumbs and you do this, and you know that your fat is ready. So in they go, and they're going to go in for just about a minute and a half on each side. Look at that, beauties here. Yes. One. Let's careful with the oil. It's hot oil. Don't burn yourself. Another big tip is to do this with your pan, and this way your bread crust will rise when you swing very gently, not burning yourself, your pan, like this. You can see they're brown on the edges. Take a check, turn them over like that. See that? Beautiful. That's what you want, just like that. And also on this side, maybe about a maximum 2 minutes, probably a minute and a half. And as you can see with the crust, how it's raised, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take them out off the heat. Put them on a plate with some paper towel, so you can just have a little bit of to dab off the fat as such. Turn this off, like so. And as you can see, that only took virtually 3 minutes. And here are Wiener Schnitzels, and you serve it with a slice of lemon and the fried potatoes, as you can see, and some Preiselbeeren. Now, the Austrians say that Preiselbeeren actually do not go with a Wiener Schnitzel, but they're so delicious, and we're going to eat them anyway. That was a blast. We had such a great time, and I tell you, the result was just absolutely delicious. We had to rush to eat. That's why we abruptly ended our filming. And I'd like to say, please, 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 when you do the German fried potatoes, put in some thyme. If you don't have any fresh thyme, then just use any thyme. It just makes such a difference. And when it's fresh, it was just out of this world. And the schnitzels, they were crispy, crunchy. They were tender inside. They were absolutely delicious. Please be careful. You have to take them out when they're that color on both sides. It'll take a maximum of 3 minutes if your oil is that hot as it was. And you saw that when I put the breadcrumbs in there and you saw these puddles. you know it's ready. If you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up, share with others, recommend to others, and subscribe if you haven't. We are at 110 and maybe we'll make 200 this year. And until then, as Jacques Pepin says, happy cooking. And just so you know that we actually do test the food that we cook. This is so delicious. And a little bit of Lincolnberries or Preiselbeeren, the Bratkartoffel, everything is just top. Mm. Mm.